Mrs. Robertson, and welcome to our second semester, third quarter in Math 6. Today, for our bell work, we are doing our mid-chapter check located on page 546. And these are the answers to the problems for our mid-chapter check. What's the definition of an equation? An equation is a mathematical sentence. I'm just going to say math sentence showing two expressions are equal. Okay. Now an equation has an equal sign, remember? Two expressions are equal. Not equivalent, equal. Okay, E-Q-U-A-L. So, we could say 2 plus x equals 6. And this would be true if x equals what? What does x equal? 4. 2 plus x equals 6 is an equation. When x equals 4, it's a true equation, okay? And number 2, fill in the blank in the sentence below with the correct term. You can solve equations using, we're going to use the words inverse operations. Inverse operations, OP is short for the word operations. They undo it. What will undo addition, kids? What will undo subtraction? Addition. Very good. Okay, now circle the solution of the equation from the list given. Which one of these makes that true? Well, that's really easy. What plus 22 is 27? 5. What plus 17 is 24? Very good. Now, in the last group here, to undo adding 63, we subtract 63 from both sides of the equal sign. Kids, you have to have minus 63 here, minus 63 there. Make sure you have it. You don't have to do the cancel, but I like to do the cancel. Bring down the equal sign. D equals 105 minus 63 is 42. Any questions? It says to check your solution. We're going to skip that step, okay? For right now. Later on, I'll make you do it. In number 6, the opposite of adding is subtracting. Subtract 7.9. Now, when you have decimals, you have to line the decimal point up, right? Yes. Oh, get my little... Now, bring down the equal sign. H equals, borrow from the 3, 10 minus 9 is 1, 12 minus 7 is 5. H equals 5.1. In number 7, minus 1 and 6/10. Minus 1 and 6/10. You have to do it both times. Cancel. Put your equal sign underneath. A equals 2.1 minus 1.6 is 0.5. Any questions on that, kids? Good. Let's go on to 8, 9, and 10. These are like better even. What's the opposite of subtracting, kids? Adding. Add 13, add 13, draw your line and cancel. Equal sign, P equals 42. Add 9, draw your line and cancel. Equal sign, Y equals 35. I always like to circle my final answer. Are your equal signs all lined up so when I walk around you've got your equal signs lined up? Okay, here we have a fraction. 5 1/6. Add 5 1/6. Draw your line. Equal sign. Now this is really easy. 10 plus 5 1/6 is 15 1/6, isn't it? Yeah. Any questions on that? You remember doing this before we went to winter break? Good. Number 11. The difference, oh, here we have some word problems. The difference between the water levels for high and low tide was 3.6 feet. Write and solve an equation to find the water level at high tide. Okay, X is going to equal high tide. Okay, you don't have to write that down. I'm just telling you what my X equals. So high tide minus 0.2 equals 3.6. Water levels for high and low tide. To find the, oh, where did I get the 0.2? Here is low tide right there. All right, so high tide, X equals the high tide, minus 0.2 is 3.6. So add 0.2, add 0.2, and X equals 3 8/10 feet. High tide is 3.8 feet. Any questions on that? If X plus 9 8/10 equals 14 7/10, what is the value of 8 times X minus 3.17? Okay, so all you do here is you first find what X is here, and once you know what X is here, you replace this X with that. That's what they mean to do in this problem. It's a little confusing at first, and then it's like, oh, that's all they want you to do. So here we do minus 9.8 minus 9.8. X equals, that's a 9, 4 9/10. So now 8 times 4.9 minus 3.7. Okay, so I took my X and I replaced that X with that value. 4.9 minus 3.7 is what? 1.2. And 8 times 1 2/10, 16 carry on, is 9 6/10. And that's what they wanted you to do there. Any questions? Okay, now what I would like for us to do next is we're going to go to the packet I gave you, and we're just going to review the same things we just did right now. We're not going to do anything really new. We will go back to the book and talk about some word problems, but first let's review some terminology here on this packet. Okay, everyone has a packet? Wonderful. This is a nice little review worksheet. Solve one-step equations, and this one is focusing on addition and subtraction. Give me a thumbs up. Do you think you understand what you're to do on this? It's pretty easy for the most part. Thumbs up. I see some of you are still not quite awake yet this morning. It says an equation is a math sentence that does contain it contains a variable. And variables are letters, right? An equation is a math sentence that does contain a variable, and it also has an equal sign, right? It has a variable and equal sign. I'm just going to put the equal sign right there, okay? It contains an equal sign. Equation, equal sign. You got it? The goal of solving an equation is to find the value of the variable. We do this by isolating the variable on one side of the equation using inverse operations. Inverse operations undo each other. We've already talked about that. The inverse of addition, class, is subtraction, right? The inverse of subtraction, class, is Thank you. Addition. What's the inverse of multiplication? Division. And what's the inverse of division? Multiplication. Does everyone have that written down? Very good. Now let's go look at our examples. Now we have word problem examples. John has X apples. He adds 5 apples to his pile. He will have 8 apples. What is the value of X? Here's their equation. He has X apples. X represents what, kids? Apples. X, he adds 5 plus 5 equals 8. Now, I know you know the answer is 3, but we have to practice setting it up. So, you use your inverse operation, minus 5, minus 5. Line up your equal sign, X equals 3. Let's all circle that, X equals 3, so I know you're paying attention. Any questions on that? Answer. John had 3 apples before he added to his pile. Okay? Now let's look at the next one. Maddie has X dollars. Okay? After spending 90. If you spend, you subtract, right? Spending means subtract 90. She now has $45. Do you see how they wrote that equation there? Whoops, I'm covering it up. Let me just show you. Everyone can see that? So X minus 90 equals 45. Do you see how they wrote that equation? Now we solve it. What's the opposite of subtracting 90? Adding 90. That's what they did, and you get X equals 135. Answer. Maddie had $135 before she bought the purse. And then here's the check step. You replace X with 135 minus 90 equals 45. Any questions? Okay, let's practice this. All right, these are really easy. Add 2. Add 2. I don't like that plus 0. X equals 12. Okay? Plus, I guess, oh wait, what did Mrs. Robertson do wrong there? Was I to add 2? No. Thank you. Yes, we are supposed to subtract 2. Huh. I'm so glad I realized it, and you kids did too. Minus 2. Minus 2. My answer is not going to be 12. It's going to be what? 8. Because plus 2 minus 2 is a 0. X equals 8. Now, I don't normally have you put plus 0. We just say X equals 8. So, 8 plus 2 equals 10. Any questions? Add 8. Okay. Now, undo adding 9. Ooh. This one, let's put a star by this one. What plus 9 equals 2? This is going to be a negative number. This is not a 6th grade standard. This is a 7th grade standard. But I just want to show you what to do. You still do minus 9, minus 9. What is 2 minus 9? It's going to be a negative number. Yes. Negative 7. And negative 7. Okay, there shouldn't be any of those on your homework. If there are, I'll look through and you won't have to do those. Okay. So, what does Mrs. Robertson want you to do? Right now, all I want you to do on this paper, we're going to not do all of the problems. Do you want to do evens or odds, kids? Ooh, we can't do that because the evens are adding and the odds are subtracting. So this is better. I want you to do this column. All right? So we're going to do column 1. Right now you're going to do 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, and 19, okay? Then your homework, this is classwork. Homework will be to do this column. And we're not going to do the middle, okay? Then on the back page, the same thing. This is going to be classwork, will be 1, 4, 7, and your homework will be 3, 6, 9. You got it? Then on the last page, on the last page, we'll just do classwork will be 1, 3, 5, and homework will be 2, 4, and 6, okay? And then the bottom ones, if you want to do more problems, you can. Any questions on that, kids? Okay, go ahead and work on that. And if we have time, I want to go over some word problems in your book at the very end of the class. Any questions? Okay.